My man, Pastor Johnson.
What's up, man?
What's happening?
Ain't nothing. How you
Man,
doing?
I'm good, man. I'm about to share this in a couple of groups, so give me a few seconds. Let some people come on in the room, but I'm gonna share it all over.
I know they was launching it on our stories or something today.
Okay. Oh, this the conversation people been ready to hear.
What?
Yeah, man. Let's see what we got. Where I can share this. Pastor Lee, what's going on, sir? My wife is on here. Hey, Verily.
Hey, Verily.
We'll get started in a second. I want everybody to hear the man who raised me in ministry.
Why you trying to make me like I'm that old, man?
You kind of old. You kind of old, Doc.
Yeah, it's getting there. But you right there with me.
Yeah, I'm behind you.
You right there.
I'm behind you, Doc. Yeah, but you know, age don't matter, man. We started this thing out a long time ago, man. It's crazy that it's been that long.
Almost 20 years.
20 years. I knew nothing about ministry, Doc.
I knew nothing about pastor.
Hey, God is kind. God is kind, Reverend.
I was shooting arrows, and then wherever it landed, I would draw a target. That's all I was doing.
Hey, you had vision though. You had vision. All the other stuff was grace.
What?
Yes, sir.
Oh, and more grace.
Man, listen.
The Lord is so gracious.
Incredible. How the family?
Man, everybody doing good, man. I know we on this 2.
Yep.
You know, I got 2 down, 2 to go. That's why I was holding up the 2s at Ty graduation. 2 of them, 2 down, 2 to get out.
Listen, I'm 3 down, 1 to go.
Yeah, so got them 2 older ones. But they doing good. T married, he in ministry.
I saw that.
And I told him he need to get with you so you can give him at least 30 minutes.
Oh man, you know, I got whatever T need, I got him.
Because he kind of in that number 2, getting groomed for the number 2.
Well, he need to get with me. He need to be part of this network.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of work in that area right now.
Man, that's incredible. Man, I was talking to Torsha. We was talking the other day. Just like, man, I think some posted about, I think it was Ty graduating.
Yeah.
It took me back to that moment, that week of hell that we had.
Yeah.
Man, when Ty got sick, we got that call about the building we couldn't build. Man, that was, woo.
Emars just told him last week, said, you need to write a book about that. Because he was just telling, because Ty a writer.
Is he?
Yeah, he actually going to school for that. You know, he's a writer and he writes well. And so Demars, you know, he always trying to birth the business out somebody. Demars said, you need to do a book and tour. So I said,
Demar go hustle up everything. Well, man, listen, man, I'm excited, man. I was giving people time and I shared this in a couple of different groups, man, just so people can watch this. Some people go watch it tonight. Some people go watch it later. And so I just want to, first of all, just say thank you, man, before I get into anything else. Thank you. I wouldn't be who I am today without you. You saw something in me back when I had no clue of what life was about, what ministry was about. And so just for you to take a chance to kind of bring me under your wing and show me ministry, man, I am forever grateful, forever indebted. And so one of the things I've been doing, you know, my book came out, It Takes Two, Who's Helping You Lead. And so you're all weaved throughout the book because I couldn't explain what my role is as a two-man without explaining who you are. And so I decided to do these two-man talks. And so what I wanted to do is talk to people from all genres of life. If they lead, if they're a two-man, if they're an artist, if they're an entertainer, if they're a pastor, a CEO, if they're a COO. So these conversations I'm having with a lot of different people. And so, and these are people that I love, that I look up to, that I know. I want people who follow me to learn about and hear from. And so when I set these up, I was just waiting for the day where I could lock you down and continue to bless us with this presence. So, man, thank you for agreeing to join me tonight. For people who don't know, this is Terrance H. Johnson, but Pastor Johnson, Terrance Johnson, man, just tell us a little bit about you. Who are you and kind of what's your story?
Yeah, well, let me just first say thank you, because of a two-man, I don't think How You Be would have made the impact, that it made. I'm always reminiscing on, me, you, and Torsia coming together fasting for 40 days. And so just your availability, I think you brought so much, just being available, being there. And I just want you to know, man, thank you, because I know the ministry wouldn't have made that kind of impact, on so many lives, if I didn't have that two-man. So let me just say that. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, Terrance Johnson, married to Torsia Jamaica Johnson. Yeah, Jamaica. She's from the north side.
North side.
But 4 kids. God has blessed me with 4 kids, and extremely proud of them and all the things they're doing. And been pastoring now, going on 20 years. Been married. Torsia 23 years and preaching 25 years. So definitely have some seniority, in this thing now. And man, just really excited about ministry. I just feel God truly blessed me, these first 20 years, and a lot of skill, a lot of talent, that happened. Like we was talking about earlier, thank God for His grace, right? But, I just feel like, in this season, just wiser, and I'm excited, I'm refreshed, and I'm ready for this next chapter of my life, when it comes to ministry. One of the things that I'm trying to do, I think the success when it comes to relay racing is the person you pass the baton to have to be running almost the same speed that you're running, and one of the things I'm trying to make certain is that when I pass the baton, the church is moving. I don't want to lead a church and it's like struggling, that kind of thing. And so I'm excited about just what we're doing, and I feel like that's the season I'm in, pretty much when we started with you, preparing the next generation of leaders. I'm really lit for that. I'm excited about that, and just want to pour into that next generation of leaders so they can go on and run with this thing.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So let's just kind of jump in. So again, in my book, I'm talking about It Takes Two, who's helping you lead. And I think just kind of hearing what you said now, I think what helps leaders kind of understand, and I write about it in my book, but I'll kind of like to get your kind of principle behind it. So these people who running at the same speed as you and selecting people to raise up, like, how do you go about selecting them? How do you know who to choose, who can carry the baton, who can run at the speed? Like, how do you select people to put on your team?
Well, I think that's hard. I think, one of the struggles, just in retrospect, is finding the right person. That can be a challenge. I think, thank God, just the connection with you. But a lot of guys I'm discovering, a lot of times that's a challenge, finding that right person. And I call it finding somebody who can double dutch. And some folk you gotta teach how to double dutch, and some folk already know how to double dutch. And a lot of times that's a challenge because you got to know when to jump and how to jump in and jump out, that kind of thing. But the Lord blessed me with this concept that most leaders are not found. Most leaders are made. You know, that when you look in the scriptures, Miles Monroe talks about that we all have the potential to lead, but we have to be made. And I think you see a lot of that when it comes to Jesus, how the disciples had the potential, but they had to be made. And so as a leader, sometimes we don't want to do that. Let me preach, right? Let me preach and do vision. But I think one of the calls of the pastor is to reproduce, you know. And so if you're going to reproduce, you just got to go and chalk it up, man. You got to put in the work and invest, you know, in a Simon Peter, you know. And so that's kind of my principle now. Leaders are not necessarily found, they have to be made.
Yeah. In one of my chapters, I talk about how do you train a tool or how you train your team. And I speak about how you trained me. And now I know you didn't have a blueprint for what you was doing, but it sure did. It looks like a blueprint now. And so I use how you trained me to help other leaders determine how to train others. And I talk about what I call the spirit transfer.
Okay.
And I explain what you did for me in that term, because I also see how Jesus did some stuff too, and how Moses was able to do some things because they had to take the spirit and put it on somebody. But I wanted to explain practically how I saw what you did for me. And so I don't know if you remember. So how we actually had our first conversation. It was a night you were the young adult pastor at our church. And for whatever reason, you never closed up the building. But that night, they made you lock up the building. Wow. I left. I was teaching children's church with Reverend Synagogue one night. I left, drove all the way down the Beltway, and some said, come back. I come back. You were the only person at the church.
I remember that.
And you and I just sat that night, and we talked in the parking lot, and you told me the vision, and you told me what was going on and all that type of stuff. But through that process, it started off like you would just tell me to come ride with you. You would invite me over to your house, like come over. You was on Yellowstone then. You
Good. No, sure enough.
It was like you would just say come over, and I would have dinner with you and the family. Or you would, if you had a preaching engagement, you would just hit me and be like, hey, come with me. And I would drive you to those places. You would preach, and afterwards you would ask me questions that I had no idea what I was looking for. You'd be like, did you see how they ushers were, or did you see how they did service? And so I just kind of got immersed in and had no idea what was happening. And so it was like, but you were letting me close to you. You were putting your spirit on me. So you would question me about stuff. I remember one time, when we started Higher D, we was at Judy Bush, and you told me to pray. And man, you said, get the scripture and pray. Man, I didn't know what to do. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to do, what to pray. But it's like you were giving me small responsibilities. Kind of piece by piece. And then eventually I got ordained as a deacon. I came on staff. And so stuff just gradually, you kind of gave me more and more. But I think that's so important. And it's a Jesus model because you gave me you. And I was able to start thinking like you thought. And looking at things the way that you looked at it. You talked about excellence. I could see it from your eyes. And so those things helped me become your two-man eventually. And I had no idea that was happening. So I think that's important to a leader. Like you gotta let people in. Get close to you.
And I think that may say, you know, a lot more about you than me, you know, in terms of being young and listening. You know, I think just in retrospect, the mere fact, I think you were reachable because you were teachable, you know, and I think so many guys can be there but feel like they know it all. You know what I'm saying? But I think the mere fact that you were slow to speak, that you listened, and so I think a lot of that growth and development happened, in that season because of your willingness to be a sponge, and so I think that definitely speaks a lot of your humility, your character. I think that's why you've been exalted, because those who humble themselves will be exalted. So I think the other piece is I didn't have a blueprint. I don't. Today I know that I don't just want to walk before people. I want to walk with people, and I think that's kind of the principle I teach today. It's not just being at the top of the hill, but coming to the bottom of the hill, helping folk come up there. So the top, it don't have to be lonely at the top, kind of thing. So my thing is, what I would encourage leaders to do is exposure.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we were doing. It was like just exposing you to different experiences. Yeah. And I think it's kind of like not only exposing, but also giving education.
Right.
And then if another thing that I tried to do in that season and didn't realize I was doing it, I think because of remember the empowerment ministry?
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about this. The mere fact that you were empowered gave you an opportunity to lead.
Right.
You with me?
Yeah.
And I think you were empowered. So I wasn't always watching what you were doing in the ministry. I wasn't doing none of that. I'm a micromanager.
Right.
So I think that helped with that whole leadership thing. I talk to people all the time that the secret to leaders growing is leading. You got to let leaders lead. It's kind of like if you're a great cook, you got to cook. You can't stay on the bench, and you have to allow, people to get in the field. I call it, you can micromanage eternally, or you can temporarily, walk around with a mop. Meaning, people who you empower, young folk, they're gonna make some spills.
That's right.
But if you empower them, of course they're gonna get to that place where they can do what they need to do. So I think guys gotta empower them, give them authority. And I think I was just trying to some exposure, some education and experience. And I think today we get a lot of education, but we don't give no experience. We don't let them go. Let them be over stuff. Let them do stuff. I did a lot of that.
And now that takes some form of it takes some form of healthiness, I think, from a leader standpoint, but it takes a lot of patience to do that. Because I mean, like you say, you kind of gave me the keys to run the empowerment ministry while I was still learning how to be a man. But it made me grow, because then I see Nikki Bird on here, and Nikki Bird came through empowerment ministry, and we had a lot of people, especially our young adults at the time, who served in empowerment ministry. But I was learning from you. That's right, Portia, the exposure, the education, and then you empower me to lead. But it's like I was learning principles from you on one side, and then had to go practice it immediately on the field with empowerment ministry. And I think those things just kind of accelerated my leadership acumen, because I'm listening to you tell me stuff. You exposing me. I mean, you exposed me all around the country to different ministries. I remember we traveled everywhere together, and you would just let me see it, but then you would quiz me on what did I see.
Right.
And so I think, and then me coming back to lead the ministry, it just helped me become the leader I am today. But I think that took a lot of patience, because I made a lot of mistakes. And you had to be willing to let me make those mistakes and then use them as teaching lessons for me as well.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't a mistake. Well, we would lose everything. I think we mistakes are essential for growth. You know what I'm saying? And I think people need to insert that. They're essential for greatness. And I think because of that empowerment, I think we grew. Of course, some things I would do different, you know, but I think guys gotta give the education, you know, some exposure and experience, you know. And I think what I'm learning, Ramone, is it's all leadership.
Mm-hmm.
It's all that, you know.
Right.
If any organization that's gonna be great, you have to invest in reproduction.
That's
You
right.
gotta develop leaders, you know, and spending the time to do that, you know. And I could have done a lot of things better, but you know, I want to preach, I want to be gone. And so now I'm learning that the key to any successful organization is duplication, reproduction. Yeah.
Man, I think one of, you know, you're gonna go down in history and be remembered for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Preaching, you're visionary, you're a leader, cutting edge. Man, we was doing stuff back in '99 that they just picking up on now.
Right.
I mean, the stuff that we was doing, the magazines, the secular radio, like we did so much back then that was just so cutting edge. But I think one of the things that no one can ever say when you look at the people who've come from you,
mm-hmm.
Man, some people have come out of higher D that you have birthed, that you have led, that literally are changing the world. And I think that was just, man, I just think about it all the time. I mean, so many people that I've worked with, and you know, when I did my going away, when I shut B&B down, and I moved to New Jersey, and I had you come out to that event, and I said, everybody in this room celebrating me, I wouldn't even known them people if it wasn't for you. And they all worked in some form of capacity at Higher D. And they entrepreneurs, they leading companies, they entertainers, you know. And so I just think, man, you is fruit of what you have produced. And I just want to salute you for that.
Bless you, Doc.
Yeah. So let me ask, so hold on, Corey Hughes, that's right, man. You got to invest in reproduction. My wife said when you start off, you just go say your wife's government name on this thing.
The whole name.
The whole name. Mama Gwen is on here.
Wow.
Hey, she is here. Man, and Mama Gwen used to be our secretary.
The secretary. I had to let my mama go. You didn't find my mama.
Find your mama, man. Mama Gwen. Man, we had some fun though. We had some experiences on that Club Creek. Now, where was we at? Bissonnette, that Bissonnette office?
Senegal, man. We read story after story with that boy.
What was what was your uncle that used to prank call? No, your uncle and Smitty would call and get Mama Gwen mad on the phone to see if we were doing customer service right. They would call and mess with
That probably
Tim.
Yeah.
Man, listen, we had some fun, man. So let's answer this. So in the book, it takes two. I talk about the qualities of a two-man or a team. And so I talk about these types of qualities that a person should have. What qualities do you look for when you're hiring people for your organization?
Well, I think when I write my next book, you know, Torsha and I wrote a book on relationship. My next book gonna be on, you know, just my ministry and wisdom and skills, all of that. So I'm getting ready for that. But I think one of the things you know, when you're looking for a leader, you want to look for a dreamer. You know, I think it's very important to, like, who can dream, you know, who have vision, you know. So when you're looking for leaders, you want to identify people who can see, you know. Those kinds of people are very important. I call them brochure people who can put a brochure together. They can put the rendering together. You know, the other person I think is critical is an implementer, you know, an analyzer. You need somebody who can analyze, can take that brochure, and I call this blueprint. Somebody who can put the blueprint together. Like, here's your brochure, that's pretty. but show me the blueprint. You know, let me see how to do this, the nuts and bolts. And I think you need that kind of person. And then the last person, the implementer, right? And this is your builder. This the person who is going to take the blueprint and they gonna execute it. And so in this season, that's what I look for when I'm looking for leaders, you know, because I don't want a brochure person doing blueprint stuff. And I want a blueprint person doing building stuff. It impacts the efficiency and the excellence of the project. And it all stems back to thoughtfully delegating. That's all it is. You got to thoughtfully delegate and put a vetting system in place to kind of help you identify, you know, who's a dreamer, put all the dreamers in the room when we talk about a new sermon series, right? Okay, who are the analytical people? You know, the sequential step type people. Get them in a room and let them do that. And then you need a builder. You need somebody who will execute, who can galvanize, who can inspire, all of that. And so that's kind of like some hard stuff. Of course, it's a lot of intangible stuff that I would look for in a leader. I don't know if you've done the C's, but they got to have character. Right. You know what I'm saying? Them type people. People who are courageous. You know, don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me what I need to hear. You know, I talk about all the time, you know, public respect, give you private leverage. And you need people who gonna be honest with the leader. You with me? You don't need yes people. So you need courageous people. You need people who care. You know, do they care about God and do they care about God's people, right? And, you know, competence, you know, now my philosophy of body of work, you know, God gave me an addendum to it, you know, because typically when we think about body of work, we think about systems, we think about buildings. Yeah. But God says, what is your body of work? You know, what is your body of work? Who are the people that you have poured into? Who are the people that you have built? And so I think it's critical, you know, when you're evaluating people to kind of see, okay, I know you've done this system, this project. What is your body of work? Because, you know, the church is about building people. And I think if you can do that, you'll start developing the credit. The person should have credit. It's almost like you're checking their credit when you're vetting them. I like it. Because you want to make certain that they're credible, they're trustworthy. And I think if we learn, and I struggle with this, you have to know when to go fast and slow. You with me? Because a lot of times we go slow when we should be going fast. Right. We go fast when we need to be going slow. And when to do fast break, you know, in basketball, when to set it up. And you just have to know that. And Jesus was so great at always saying, it's not my hour. Because the temptation for us is the temptation of progress, right? We see a brochure and we read it, but you have to be able to know your hour. And so those are a lot of technical stuff, you know, that I would tell guys to consider. Don't cheat that process. Thoughtfully delegate.
That's good. Yeah. Well, listen, let's take a little commercial break. People who've coming on. Nikki Woods, what's up, lady? I see you. So y'all are joining me. I'm talking to Pastor Terrance Johnson, pastor of Higher Dimension Church. He's more than a pastor. He's a leader, he's an entrepreneur, has a lot going on. For y'all that's coming on who don't know me, I'm Ramone Harper, the author of a new book called It Takes Two, Who is Helping You Lead. And so this is a two-man Tuesday talk with Terrance Johnson. He was the one who trained me in ministry, who helped me understand who I was as a Joseph. And that has helped me do what I do today. So if you want more information about me, you can go to RamoneHarper.com. You can get the book. You can learn about who I am. Pastor Johnson, tell people how they can find you if they want to learn about the ministry, they want to learn about your personal ministry. How can they follow you on social media, all that stuff?
Yeah, Terrance Johnson on social media and hired.net. They can find me, you know, with the church and all of that. So.
Okay. Well, y'all make sure you're following Pastor Marcus Dudley. What's up, man? Enjoy spending time with you in Mississippi last week. So Pastor Johnson, one of the reasons why I wrote this book, and I talk about it in my intro, me, Odell Dickerson, and Derek Noble was sitting in a hotel and we were talking about there's a lot of leadership principles and leadership conferences and books and networks for senior leaders, but there wasn't a lot for us in this kind of two-man executive support leader role. And so, you know, I told him, I was like, man, that's on my heart, because I saw Derek Nobles, man. He was incredible. What he had done, he was so good. He was in LA. He retired, and Bishop Walker went and got him and brought him back to be his two-man. Derek, Odell Dickerson with Bishop Walter Thomas, incredible COO, businessman, and doing ministry. And so one of the things we talked about was, sadly, we saw people who were great two men or two women or executive leaders, and they were like dope. They were like off the chain. They was making impact. People knew their name, and you can see the fruit of their ministry. But somehow somebody got in their ear, ambition crept in, peer pressure, boredom, something happened that made them say, you know what? I'm just as smart as he is. I can have my own thing, or you should start your own church, or you should jump out and do this. And sadly, what we saw, we would go back and be like, man, let me check on such and such. And they became a one, and we never heard of them again. The impact wasn't as great as they was in the 2-seat or the 3-seat. And it's just like they went away. And so one of my life's mission, my callings, is to help people understand I would rather be a great 2 than be an average 1. Because I found my spot. I found where I can excel and be fruitful. So just for you, like, what's the danger that you've seen when people jump out of a spot prematurely, or because of selfish ambition, because of pride or ego or spousal pressure? What is some of the danger that you've seen when that has happened to people?
Well, I think that's real good. I think it's a big issue. I think you know, one thing is no wrong people. It's just the wrong place. And so I think if you're created to be a number 2, you really number 1. Number two is a 1. You know what I'm saying? Because we all 1 in God's eyes.
That's right.
So you are 1. You know, you just in the number 2 role. If I'm a number 3 and number 4. And so I think embracing that, and I think a lot of times guys struggle at embracing that identity. You know what I'm saying? And you know, my people like the ring finger because the bling on it. But I need this thumb, Doc.
Yeah.
I need my pinky. I need all of it.
Right.
And all of it is essential, and all of it have a function. And so, and it's all a part of the hand, you know, and that, and when it's together, it's the strength. And so, when I was coming up in school, it was the teacher's job to make certain, when I came into the room, it was already assigned seating. The teacher's job is responsible for helping people find their assigned seat. Going back to leadership. And I think that's the issue. I think, what is your assigned seat? Where do you supposed to be seated?
Oh, that's good.
And I think it's very critical to make certain you get in that seat. And teachers help students find their seats. And a lot of times it's based upon a profile. They may know the child, those kinds of things. And so it's the teacher, it's the leader. And the scripture that supports that is when the apostles were waiting on tables. Well, if you're an apostle, that means you were an eyewitness of Jesus. If you're an eyewitness of Jesus, that means you had a front row seat to his miracles. That means you heard him communicate about the gospel.
Right.
The best thing, your seat, is to communicate the gospel. And they tried to wait on tables. It needed to be done. Let's wait on tables. But when they said, hold up, we need to get some people who are out there in their seat. And when they looked out among them and saw men of faith and wisdom, they said, hey, this is your seat, and this is my seat. Right. And when everybody got in their assigned seat, the end of the story says what? The church grew, the word of God spread, because you're most valuable where you add the most value. And you got to find that place, and the teacher got to help people find that seat and say, hey, you may not be the ring finger, but we sure need that pinky dot. We need that thumb. It's all critical to what we're called to do. And I think the worst thing you can do is get in a place where God is not. And that's what happens. That's what happened. Guys get out there and they got all that, but you left God. Yeah.
Man, I share with people, I think one of the greatest lessons I've learned about ministry, and whether you call it preaching ministry, teaching ministry, whatever. I remember we used to do Paul and Timothy. Remember that? Paul and Timothy. And one of the things you shared with us in Paul and Timothy was you were talking about preaching when you weren't there. And you told us we shouldn't when we get in that pulpit and we stand up, we have to be our authentic self. Right. Because you said what happens is, so if I get up and try to be you not there, I'm not there, and the Holy Spirit can't find me there because I'm imitating somebody else. Man, I think that was one of the most profound teachings I have ever heard just on ministry, and this whole thing of trying to, because people see you preaching, and so if you're not there, if someone is trying to imitate you, they not being their authentic self. They can only be themselves, and that's something I never forget. Paul and Timothy, back there in that classroom we was in with all the ministers. And so that was a great teacher, man. I just think I had to learn and mature, and I think through you teaching me and developing me, when I found I was Joseph, I was okay with my plight. When I figured out I'm a Joseph, I'm a dream interpreter. I don't dream about my dreams. I dream about the dreams of others. So when I found out that Joseph names means to add, to increase, he brings increase to others. I was okay. And I was able to say, you know what, if I help Terrance Johnson become great, or if I help whomever, that's my role. That's my assignment. And I don't need my name in the headlights to do that. When I'm effective, then I won. And that's my plight for me. And I think everyone have to figure out, like you say, are they the ring finger? Are they the thumb? Whatever you are, just do that and be great with that.
Yeah, because if you don't, it diminishes the organization effectiveness. Michael Jordan, you're great with basketball, not baseball. And whenever you get out of your field, you're supposed to operate on a hardwood floor, not on no baseball field.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so if you it diminishes. And so you got to find a place where you add the most value. And if you get in that field and you work hard, you'll be successful. And so I remember, like yesterday, you passed on Joseph. I'm interpretive dream. That was at High D. You know Joseph, and you knew that. And I think what guys gotta help people understand is the first level of leadership growth is not doing, it's being. It's the discovery of self, who you are. And the reason why God couldn't release Moses is because you don't know who you are. So, and you got anger management issues, so you're dealing with emotional stuff. So what I got to do is send you to school for 40 years, 10 years of freshman, 10 years sophomore, 10, he was in school 40 years, he graduated because you don't know who you are. And so once he, get a better handle on managing his emotion, because you already know a person who can't manage his emotional is juvenile, it's childish. But when he started growing to discover who he is, God said, okay, Okay, now this burning bush, now you need to go. And so I think helping people find out who are you, the best way to find out who you are is this. Listen, spend time with you. You gotta spend time with you. We don't spend time, we want to spend time with everybody but us.
That's right.
You gotta spend time with you and reflect on what you like to do. You know, taking this test, taking my grit, doing these things, and then people will help you.
Right.
People will help you discover who you are as well.
That's good.
And I think that's very important.
Yeah. Corey Hughes says, why is it such a struggle for people to accept the two-man role?
Immature. Yeah, I think when you trust God, you know He got plans for you, and you don't look down as I'm coming alongside. You know, the Holy Ghost came alongside. I mean, that's the whole objective of the Paraclete.
Exactly.
To come alongside us and to help us and to guide us and direct us. Yeah. And so I think it's people who are selfish, immature, and who don't understand this is about a redemptive plan. And that's why the Holy Ghost don't have a problem coming alongside Jesus and being a comforter and all of that. Man. And so I think the lead, see, if a person don't know who they are and they are under you, then it's your job. When my marriage and my family wasn't doing what it needed to do, and I began to blame people, and I began to implement new programs at the church, and I began to do that, the Lord says, your family is where you have led them.
That's right.
You the leader. So if you, so as pastors, whatever our church is not doing, a lot of it is because we haven't led them.
That's good.
We have to lead them to where we want to go. Right. And the Lord is teaching me, you got to walk before them, and then you got to walk with them. Yeah. And if you do that, Simon become Peter. You know that, right? Right. Simon's name means flaky. Right. Peter means stone. Yeah. But because God walked with somebody who was flaky, yeah, he became a stone. And I think we just got to do that and love people and be real and be genuine and authentic. And man, people, they'll grow. Yeah. They'll get that.
And I think another thing from leadership, like you said, you're responsible for your house. And I take this even with staff, even with the people that's helping you, that you are there to help lead everybody. You know, so your staff, your two-man needs your leadership as well. And sometimes, like it took me time and it took me to understand who you were first to know what type of compliment I needed to be to you. And I think it takes a lot of humility for a person, number one, to be a two-man. You got to be humble and you got to be healthy enough to accept that, man, you can put in his work and he go get the interview after the game. You know what I'm saying? He go hold the trophy up. But I think a lot of people, as the leader, it's important that we can't just tell you who we are. As a leader, you need to see who we are too, because sometimes somebody can tell you they Joseph, but they really Joshua. And I think there's a danger in not knowing, do I need a Joseph in this season or do I need a Joshua? Joseph never has a desire to be the leader. Joshua go take your place. And I think as leaders, that's dangerous of selecting Joshua when you really needed a Joseph. And then there's a time when you need Joshua, who's going to be your successor, and train that person a different way. But I've seen that mistake. That's ministry, business, anywhere. If you know you need a two-man and you don't know who that person is, that's dangerous.
Yeah. I see it all the time. Guys come in and, use your platform, resources. They want to go and start church. So I think that's you're right with that. That's huge.
Yeah. So, man, so tell us, man, as we get ready to wrap it up, man, I appreciate you being on here with me tonight, man. This is, I'm excited about being with you next month.
Oh yeah, next
Get to
Sunday,
come home.
first Sunday.
First Sunday in August, yeah, man. Get to reconnect with my Higher D family. I'm excited about that. But let's tell what's some of the things that you excited about. You've been doing this 20 years, so now you've learned. You've matured, you've grown, you've seen a lot, been exposed to a lot. What are you looking most forward to in this next season of leadership, of pastoring and business, whatever you got going on?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's very important to discover your passion early. If you getting my age, you got to find out what's next. And I think what's next for me is just doing what I've done. Just more intentional, and so that's going to show up like in coaching. I want to coach older pastors, and kind of help them on how do you reach this next generation. It's crazy. I'm 46, but still can reach, that young group. I don't know why but some kind of way, and still can reach my mom, group and the Nikki group as well. And so when we started, we were, everybody was my age pretty much. Now we are multi-generational church, so there's a whole lot of different challenges. So I'm excited about the coaching, and consulting and really helping guys. And so that's what I've been doing, working heavily with Rick Warren right now, to kind of come alongside him and really help the urban church. And so, we're behind the scenes and we gritting and grinding, as relates to getting ready for that. And then, we have a massive vision, that we're doing right now, with our Peace Center and community stuff, and everything just been about timing, planting, several campuses, and getting ready to start, our building, in Katy, and so we're excited about that. Just a lot of different things, Uganda mission work, and so we just hired, our stewardship people who are going to be working with us for this massive vision that we're doing. So we're just excited about that. I'm ready to give back, to really help develop leaders and help pastors and help churches. And one of the things that I'm working on is more so not just inspiration, but instructions, really being able to the instructions. How do I do this? I went to the conference, it was great preaching, but when I came home, I don't know what to do.
Right.
And so I believe that Higher D and what God has placed on the inside of me, that's what I'm going to help guys do. Not so much, I think you still go to the conference and you need inspiration. It's so critical. But I want to show guys, how do you do this? What are the sequential steps you take? And so those are things that I'm working on.
Man, it's fantastic. It's funny listening to you. When I listen to you, one of the things I talk about in the book, I said, how do you know what should be your motivation in helping your leader? And and I said it should be a combination of things. One, it should be love for your leader. It should be a love for the vision. And then I talk about some other things, but I think it's so important because when you talk, I can hear all of it and I can see all of it and I can remember the stuff we talked about from the very beginning. Like the stuff you're saying now, it's just fleshing out in a different way. But I remember the steps. Remember the first logo and the steps of taking people to the next level, faith, perseverance, these things. I remember the fivefold vision. The church, the Terrance J Ministries, the Higher Learning Academy, the Next Level, and the Helmsman Group. And so it's amazing to me. It's the same thing. It is what God showed you at the very beginning, and now it's coming to fulfillment. So, man, I'm proud of you, man. I sing your praises, man, and shout your name all over because you're doing it. And I think another thing that you may need to consider, God has graced you to help take people to the next level.
Yeah.
And so it's a blueprint in there some way. It's somewhere. And I think that is your uniqueness. Like God gave you vision to help take people to the next level, and you've done it with people's lives, but we need the instructions. We need the blueprint. We need you to bottle that up because it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked. Like, how do you take your life to the next level? There's something in it that you have done that no matter what, people who have been around you for any period of time, longevity, if they listened, their life, their career, their business, their everything has went to the next level, man. So, I pray that somehow you're able to put that into something to help people because most people don't know how to get to that next level.
Yeah, that's what we're working on. We right there. You are at Helmsman Management, all that. So we are definitely right there, and we're excited about it. And I'm just excited about the opportunity, just to pour, into this next group, the next generation, of leaders, and to really help the church, refresh. I want to be for a lot of guys what Ruth was for Naomi. And Ruth name means to refresh. And it's a lot of guys who are older and younger, and they just have hit a lid just trying to figure it out. And older guys like how to do it. And I want to come alongside them and help them refresh.
That's right.
And not a conference, but a walk with. How do I walk with you strategically and help you? In the first place, I'm starting is you as a person. So I'll probably be hitting your wife because the first place I'm starting is the health of the pastor. Man. Because if you don't get better pastor, it's greater organization. So I'm excited about what's happening, man.
Amen. Well, man, thank you, man. Thank you for taking time to join us tonight on this two-man talk. I think the people learned something. Lynn Smith Boyd, she says she a living witness that you helped take her life to the next level.
Yeah, she conference coming up. She about to do a conference.
Yeah, Lynn, I got your email too. I'm gonna hit you back tomorrow. So yeah, man, I'm excited about what you're doing. I'm excited about your future, man. I believed in you. I believed in you when we was on Yellowstone, when we was in the Brown Hornet.
Right.
Yeah, when you was using your hand for a windshield wiper, all that.
Thank the Lord. Grace.
God that brought us a long way, man. So thank you, man, for spending time with us tonight. I hope y'all heard, from this great leader, this great visionary. Principal, go back and watch it. Some of the stuff that he shared, take some notes out of it, and it can help you go to the next level. So again, man, where can they find you at?
Yeah, hired.net and Terrance Johnson on social media, all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them. Yeah, so Terrance Johnson.
All right. Yeah. And I look forward to getting there, man. It takes two. Spend some time with you in the church on the first weekend in August. Everybody in Houston, come back. It's a reunion. Come back. I want to see everybody. Come to ID first weekend in August, man. We're going to have a good time. So, man, love you, man.
Love you too, Doc, man.
Portia, thank you for everything, for coordinating everything. My girl, my home girl. We did that 40-day fast. I didn't know what I was doing.
We were struggling, Doc.
But we made it happen, man. So love you, man. I'll talk to you later.
Love you too, Doc. Tell the family hello.
I will.